I have lived through 3 invasions, 2 collapses of currency, 1 coup, and a brief but memorable infestation of singing parasites. None of that prepared me for the knock. It was a literal knock, shuddering through our border buoy as if some creature had drifted up to a hardened defense grid and rapped politely. My communications officer stared at the readings. Ambassador, something is knocking. I was already regretting my career choices. Species don't knock. They hail. Or invade. Well, these ones knocked, she muttered, turning the audio feed on. There it was. 3 knocks. A pause. 2 knocks. Another pause. A single knock. What does it mean? She whispered. I ran it through 5 decoding algorithms. The result came back. Basic Morse code. Extinct. Obsolete. Used only by primitive worlds. But the translation chilled me. Hello. Anyone home? I felt my frills tighten. In our culture, anyone home is something burglars say while checking if the occupants are armed. I had a creeping suspicion that whoever sent the message did not understand how terrifyingly honest it sounded. Across the galaxy, alerts went out. Within an hour, every major empire had sealed its borders, fortified its relay stations, pulled diplomatic envoys out of the affected region, and declared spontaneous vacation periods for entire colonies. When a new species appeared at the border of known space, the standard procedure was diplomacy. This time, the standard procedure was hiding under the bed. Unfortunately for me, the Variance Compact was elected to respond. We had achieved this prestigious position due to possessing the single greatest diplomatic asset in the quadrant. We are very difficult to destroy accidentally. Not intentionally, plenty of species could do that. But accidentally, very few, which, as we would soon learn, made us the only reasonable species to open the door. The Terran vessel drifted into visual range. I had expected a sleek scouting craft, perhaps a lightly armed exploratory ship. What I saw was a box, a cubic monstrosity, matte gray, covered in warning labels. It was not a design. It was a disclaimer. My tactical officer zoomed in on the largest warning. I squinted. What does biohazard class something unpronounceable mean? Ambassador, he croaked. It means they have something dangerous on board. That turned out to be an understatement of historic magnitude. When we hailed them, the Terran commander appeared on screen. Humanoid. Calm. Smiling in a relaxed, terrifying way that suggested they'd recently solved a problem involving fire. Hi there. Sorry to bother you, the human said. We're, looking for something we lost. I closed all shutters on the viewing window, as if that would somehow protect us. You lost something? Yes, the human said brightly. You wouldn't happen to have seen a sort of creature drift by? Soft, roundish, extremely affectionate, but, a bit defensive? A pet, I said numbly. The human winced. Well, that depends who you ask. My stomach dropped. What species is this pet? The Terran hesitated. Classified, but in friendly mode, it resembles a small, fuzzy companion animal. In startled mode, they paused. My entire delegation leaned forward. It adapts, the Terran finished quietly. Adapts into what? Whatever helps it feel safe. It's quite shy. Behind me, someone fainted. The human continued, cheerfully oblivious. So he knocked. Thought it'd be rude to come barreling in. Also didn't want to accidentally trigger any of your, treaties about invasive organisms, apex predators, psionic entities, or whatever applies here. All of them, I hissed. Right, the human said, as though we'd simply mentioned parking regulations. So, have you seen our little buddy? Every empire had locked its doors, and now I knew why. We allowed the Terrans to dock. We did this for diplomatic reasons, but more honestly, because if we told them no, they might start looking hard, and whatever they were searching for would evolve in response. I escorted the Terran commander to our station's security hub. The moment they stepped inside, every guard tensed. Humans emit a sort of field, nothing supernatural, but a subtle biological aura that says, I can survive things you consider terminal. Before the search begins, I said carefully, we must understand what we are searching for. The commander nodded. Of course. It's a companion class adaptive creature. Genetically engineered, though we've been told not to use the word weapon in paperwork. I gripped the railing until it bent. What does it eat? Oh, anything. Energy, heat, data, structural materials, emotions in a pinch. Emotions? It prefers affection, the human said. From the corner, one of my junior officers whispered, I don't want to die because something needs a hug. The human tapped their wrist pad, projecting images of what the creature looked like at the time of departure. At departure, meaning it was no longer guaranteed to resemble that shape. The first photo, a round, fuzzy thing. Big eyes, tiny paws, adorable. The second photo, longer, scuttling limbs, eyes reduced, armor plating. The third, a floating geometric orb emitting warning sirens. The fourth, a chair. A chair. I croaked. Yes, the human admitted sheepishly. When it gets startled in office environments, it disguises itself as furniture. Furniture that devours people. Oh no, it would never devour someone unprovoked. You'd have to truly frighten it. I stared at the Terran. You engineered a creature that transforms into lethal shapes, depending on what scares it. We didn't engineer it that way, the commander said defensively. It just grew into that behavior. Nature is beautiful. Nature was going to kill us. Our sensors suddenly blared. Something had entered Section 12, the civilian botanical garden. A surveillance feed popped up. The creature, now a long serpentine vine beast, was coiled around a terrified gardener, vibrating nervously. Why is it vibrating? I asked. It wants reassurance, the human said. It's strangling him, only lightly. That's a sign of affection. I made a mental note. Invade Earth never. We rushed to the garden. The creature sensed the human immediately. It uncoiled, slipped past 4 layers of security barriers, and slid across the floor like a guilt-ridden snake-cat hybrid. The human crouched. There you are, sweetheart, they murmured. Were you scared? Did someone look at you funny? The creature let out a sound halfway between a purr and a metallic shriek. The gardener fainted for the second time. Right, the human said, scooping the monstrosity up. Crisis averted. Averted? I wheezed. It nearly triggered a station-wide evacuation. Oh, sorry. The human scratched the creature's armored spine. We'll keep it leashed next time. There should never be a next time. But of course there was. Because after calming the creature, the Terran commander made an announcement that nearly ended my life. It escaped because someone tried to pet it. The entire station trembled. Who? I demanded. Someone brave, the human said. Or foolish. Hard to tell with you folks. We located the would-be petter. They had not been eaten, thankfully. Only hospitalized for shock and minor cranial distortion. The Terran examined the surveillance footage. It was illuminating. Our officer had not attempted to pet the creature. They'd simply said, "Who's a good little thing?" The creature had interpreted this as hostile dominance challenge. Hence the chair transformation. My soul left my body. You see why we knocked, the human said gently. We weren't sure if your species was ready for all of this. I gestured at the creature. It was currently curled around a nuclear waste bin, purring warmly at the radiation. Nobody is ready for this. The human sighed. Look, we tried to quarantine ourselves, but someone left the habitat door cracked. And well, you know how pets are. I resisted the urge to faint. Human, I said slowly. This creature could destabilize entire ecosystems. The commander cleared their throat. Yes. We were actually tracking it, because one time it destabilized a minor moon. Not on purpose. A minor moon. Ambassador, they continued. We're very sorry for the trouble. If it helps your diplomacy report, you can classify this as a Category 1 interstellar oopsie. There is no such classification, I whispered. There will be after today, the human replied sympathetically. We prepare them for departure as quickly as possible. Before boarding, the Terran commander turned to me. Thank you for opening your door. Most species didn't. Most species, I said, are wise. The human laughed, lightly, sincerely. You know, we're not dangerous on purpose. We just don't fold neatly into the boxes the galaxy uses. That, I said, is exactly the problem. They nodded. Well, If anything else slips out of containment, we'll knock again. I stared. No, please don't knock. Then how should we announce ourselves? Don't. The human grinned in that unsettlingly friendly way. Fair enough. Until next time. The ramp closed. The containment cube drifted away, carrying the creature, the weapon, the pet, back toward the terrifying little blue world that birthed it. Only when they were past the outer marker did the galactic channels reopen. So many messages flooded in. Are the humans gone? Did they bring the creature? Is the creature still alive? Is your station still intact? Should we delete the coordinates of your system to be safe? I answered them all the same way. When humans knock, lock every door. Because here is the truth. Humans are not evil. Humans are not conquerors. Humans are not careless. Humans just lose things. And the things they lose are always far worse than the humans themselves. That is why we sealed our borders. That is why we pretended no one was home. That is why every empire in the galaxy agreed, unanimously, for the first time in recorded history. If the humans ever knock again, nobody. Answer. The door.